What happened to Nikola Vucevic, the two-time All-Star, is now expected to get released if a trade can't get finalized? This guy was a double-double machine, and he was an All-Star that teams used to hate going against, and now Bulls fans want him completely off the team. What happened? How do you go from averaging 20 and 10 and having a breakout season and being one of the best bigs to now no team wants you? It just doesn't make sense. And it probably doesn't make sense to a lot of you guys watching this video. But if you guys stay on the whole entire video, I will explain what happened to Nikola Vucevic and what started his downfall. All I ask is that you guys like, comment, and subscribe. With the 16th overall pick in the 2011 NBA draft, the Philadelphia 76ers selected Nikola Vucevic. And he ended up getting traded for Dwight Howard in a 14 trade, which sent Dwight to the Lakers and Nikola to the Magic. Now, this is probably the best thing that could have happened to Nikola, because if he would have stayed in the 76ers, he would have been playing behind Andrew Bynum. And he needed time to really develop his game, but once he started to develop, he made multiple All-Star appearances, putting up 20 and 10. Nikola Vucevic was a guy that had great post footwork, a great mid-range game, and just high IQ. Now, despite being on a trash team that only had like Tobias Harris and a couple of young guys, he was still able to hold his own. And he had one game where he dropped 29 rebounds. And these type of rebounds he was getting weren't Angel Reese rebounds where you would just throw it up and get your own rebound. He was absolutely a great rebounder, and he always knew how to get in the perfect position for the rebounds. And his teammates loved him. Not only was Nikola Vucevic an unselfish player, but Nikola Vucevic was a guy that just wanted to win, and he wasn't afraid to take the last shot. And the energy that he had from his teammates was the reason they even went to the playoffs. Now, they did end up losing to the Toronto Raptors 115-96 in Game 5. So they lost 4-1, but they can't really get mad because they lost to the champions. And Kawhi ended up winning Finals MVP that same year. But what nobody talks about is that Vucevic did terrible. He only had one game where he dropped 20, and he didn't have that same dominance. And this was a big deal because the Magic already had a lot of young guys that they were prioritizing. And then they ended up getting Markelle Fultz in the trade that following year. And they really believed in Markelle. So the following year, they ended up losing to the Bucks in the bubble 3-1. And this time, it wasn't Nikola's fault. I think Nikola was mad that the team was trying to move on. And he had multiple 30-point games. But Steve Clifford was obviously not excited about losing in the first round and back-to-back series. And he decided that it was time for a change, which sent Nikola Vucevic to the Bulls, him and Al-Farouq Aminu, in exchange for Wendell Carter, Otto Porter Jr., and 2 first-round picks. Now, Nikola Vucevic knew that he was getting traded, and he wasn't surprised, so this wasn't like a D-Rose situation. But despite him knowing that he was getting traded, he was still very, very sad and very, very upset. In this clip, he was even crying because he got traded to the Bulls, because he really loved Orlando deep down inside. Despite Vucevic pretty much crying, Stephen A. Smith said that this team was headed in the right direction, getting Nikola Vucevic and him alongside Zach LaVine and Lauri Markkanen. And this team was supposed to be the next big three that was supposed to run the Eastern Conference. And a lot of people had high expectations. This guy said, oh yeah, you're getting Vucevic, it's a win-now situation. Unfortunately, that's just not how the cookies crumble. And this ended up being a terrible trade for the Bulls. And this started his downfall because Vucevic is not only a bad defender, but he can't ever stay out of foul trouble. Now, I don't blame all of the struggles on Vucevic. I think Billy Donovan is also a terrible coach as well. And it's a reason why the Thunder parted ways with him after 5 seasons, because he didn't have any type of playoff success. But the problem with Vucevic is that he likes to play back to the basket a lot now, and the league is pretty much changed. It's a bunch of 5 out and a bunch of pace and space. And Vucevic just hasn't been the same player as he was in Orlando. His points per game went down, his 3-point percentage went down, his rebounds, his assists. He just didn't have that same type of energy that he had in Orlando. And Billy Donovan even stated that this team was terrible against the pick and roll. They were 29th in the pick and roll, and that's because Vucevic does a lot of drop coverage. Now, come on, you can't be bad on offense and bad on defense. Would you guys want a guy like Vucevic who struggles to play defense? No, people want to win a championship. Look at this clip right here with him and Pascal Siakam. He just gets absolutely lost, and he just lets him go. When you trade multiple first-round picks for an all-star, you're expecting that all-star to change your franchise in a positive way. And Nikola Vucevic at age 34, finna be 35, just hasn't done that. This fan said Nikola Vucevic is the most annoying player of my Bulls life. I watched 90% of all games he played as a Bull. eye test shows horrible on defense, shot selection is terrible, gets outworked on the glass, and body language sucks. This fan said, watching Nikola play defense makes me want to throw up. And then somebody said his help defense is non-existent. If a ball handler isn't coming straight at him, he's escorting him to the basket. No resistance, no rim protection, or nothing. Nikola Vucevic is allowing opponents to shoot 66% within 6 feet of the rim, with Vucevic as the closest defender. He's absolutely a subpar defender. Now, when you look at these tweets, you'll be like, okay, maybe they're lying, but no, he's just really that bad. And in the postseason, this man had 109.2 defensive rating in the play-in, and that's below average defense among centers, which is terrible. Vucevic also allowed people to shoot 71% from the restricted area when he was the primary defender. And the Bulls' defense is worse when he's on the floor. I don't understand how DeMar, DeRozan, Zach LaVine, and Vucevic was not able to win in their tenure, bro. They had a great team on paper. And then you had people like Lonzo Ball and Alex Caruso. I understand that Lonzo Ball ended up getting injured. But, I mean, this team, bro, just didn't win or didn't do anything, bro. And the Bulls are expecting to not buy him out. And again, if he's expected to be released if a trade can't get finalized, who's going to pick him up? At first, we thought he was going to go to the Warriors, and I think that's a good fit. Maybe he can fit alongside Draymond Green, and maybe Draymond can hide his defensive deficiencies. But Nikola has still been working out with the Bulls this offseason and still been getting his reps in. So it's likely that he'll probably stay on the Bulls for one more year. But Nikola Vucevic is not a bid that's going to help you win a championship. He needs to start learning from Bam Adebayo, somebody who had to elevate and change his game. See, Bam can stay on the floor long enough because of his defense. Or maybe learn from Joker. Joker had to change his game. He couldn't just be a back-to-the-basket big. He impacts the game by being an elite rebounder and assister. Or be like Brook Lopez. You don't got to dominate offensively. Just be useful. Because when Vucevic is on the floor, he is not useful at all. He's useless. He makes the team much worse on defense, and it's been like that for multiple years now. Now, let's rewind this trade. He got traded for 2 first-round picks. Now, when you look at this trade, okay, Otto Porter's out the league, Wendell Carter, but they ended up getting Franz Wagner, and they ended up getting Jet Howard. Now, if Jet Howard doesn't pan out, cool, it doesn't matter. But the fact that they got 2 starting quality pieces out of that deal was an absolute fleece. And when we look at the Bulls, all they really have is Buzelis, Kobe White, and we're going to see if Giddey resigns. But the Bulls lost this trade. They got older. And what's next for Vucevic, we don't know. Maybe he stays. Maybe he re-signs with the Bulls. Or maybe he's just done with basketball and he probably ends up retiring soon. In conclusion, what happened to Vucevic is that he's just getting older now. He's about to be 35. And his game never really adapted to this fast-paced era. He's dominating the slow-paced era. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this daily.